It's time for another anniversary review. This time for Dr. No, 60-year anniversary to be exact. Dr. No, the first of the James Bond films under Harry Saltzman and Albert Broccoli. But this was not the actual first book that Arthur Ian Fleming did. No, Dr. No was the sixth book published by Fleming. Now, the reason why Saltzman and Broccoli went with Dr. No instead of Fleming's first James Bond story, well, let me look at that right quick. I'll be right back. Before we go on with the show, how about you guys like, share, subscribe to Franchise History TV, even comment down in the comments down below. I'm also on Instagram at franchise_TV and on Twitter at TV_franchise. I also have two other channels if you are interested: Lone Wolf Adventure TV and Franchise 2 Sports. So, yeah, subscribe to those three channels. And also like, share, subscribe on all three of them. I say subscribe 3 times. I'm done. Bye. Well, Eon Productions, Saltzman, Broccoli could not receive the rights to Fleming's first novel, Casino Royale, because Fleming sold the rights in 1955 to producer Gregory Randolph for $6,000. Now, before that, CBS produced a 1-hour television adventure based on Casino Royale in 1954, starring Barry Nelson as Secret Agent James, aka Jimmy Bond. Now, this was part of an anthology series called Climax. It was kind of seen as a parody of sorts, and it was kind of forgotten for at least 30 years until 1981. 4 years later after its production, CBS invited Fleming to write 32 episodes based on James Bond. He agreed to write several short stories that would become For Your Eyes Only short story novel in 1960. No TV show was ever produced. Now, not to go too far off, but since Casino Royale was an option, Eon Productions decided to produce the 8th Bond novel, 1961, Thunderball the first. But there was also another legal dispute between the screenplay's author Kevin McCrory and Fleming, so Broccoli and Saltzman decided to pick Dr. No instead. So that's how Dr. No became the first film. Now, the producers had several directors in mind, but they ended up picking Terrence Young, since Broccoli had Young produce several films for him already. Plus, Eon thought Young would be able to make a real impression of James Bond, which he did. Well, I'm not going to get too detailed about the search for an actor, but several actors were considered, like Cary Grant, which actually would have been a bad pick, and others, but the producers decided to pick a 31-year-old Sean Connery, someone that can play in 5 films. Grant was only committed to 1. So wait, Sean Connery was only 31, huh? I was around the same age. Yeah, I am around the same age. Damn. Now to think about it, he was the same age as me when he got picked as James Bond. Damn, that hard living. Anyways, I did not know Christopher Lee was actually considered for the role of Dr. No, since he was Fleming's step-cousin. Man, the world is small. But Fleming brought up that suggestion, but it was too late. The producers already selected Joseph Wiseman. Filming took place in London, Jamaica, and wrapping up in March 1962 with a release date on October 1962, but in the United Kingdom. Dr. No didn't premiere until May 8, 1963 in the US, earning $59.5 million overall against a $1.1 million budget.
Nothing except his name, Dr. No. I'm a member of Spectre. World domination. Same old dream.
Once released, it received mixed reviews, with Time magazine calling James Bond, as quoted, a blithering blunder and a great big hairy marshmallow who manages to seem slightly silly. Well, that sounds really mature there. I wonder who's really the big hairy marshmallow in this case. Sounds like Time magazine is. Well, the critics didn't like this film. Some reviewing the film and didn't like Sean Connery at all personally, or Fleming, before viewing the film. Judgmental, eh? Also got the old, you know, oh, it's violent, it's vulgar, it's sadist, there's too much sex. Yeah, you got that whole thing. And then the Kremlin. Yes, that Kremlin also said Bond was the personification of capitalist evil. Even though really, during this time, this movie really came out of Britain, not so much America. Well, while others did treat this film well, calling all the actors enjoyable, performers were memorable, especially Connery's, but Dr. No, some could say, could use some henchmen. Well, they had henchmen, but not as the henchmen as we know as the series continue on. But quick question right quick. Who was the best henchman in all Bond films? Answer down in the comments. Well, I won't go to every absolute detail about this movie, but there were several scenes in this film that I like this one right here.
Trench. Sylvia Trench. I admire your luck, Mr.
Bond. James Bond.
I would have to say this. This is probably the best introduction to, let's say, a famous fictional character in cinema history, in my opinion, of course. The setup with the Gambling Club, not really showing him at all, but focusing on Sylvia Trench playing the card game. Trench loses the game. Bond admiring her courage. Trench asking for his name. And then we get the James Bond trademark stammer. Bond. James Bond. Such an excellent scene and an introduction for a character, but then Bond proceeds to woo Trench, and it's all a wrap after that. This introduction is actually taken from Casino Royale's novel and not originally in the Dr. No's novelization. Another favorite scene of mine is Bond in Jamaica on a mission and the assassination of Professor Dent. Let's take a look here.
Looking for Professor?
Well, you might as well know, as you won't live to use the information. I won't keep up.
Mr. Smith and Wesson. And you've had your 6.
I just like to quote the scene. Dent pulls out his gun while Bond is just sitting there just playing solitaire like nothing's going on. I'm just playing solitaire. I know you're there. I'm about to shoot the hell out of you. He's calm, but also cold. Cold as winter during this whole encounter. Even after Dent tried to kill Bond with that spider, and at the death of John Strangeways, the station chief of MI6 in Jamaica, basically the push for the plot of the story, it was a cold act by Bond, as he shot Dent twice. Probably proceeded to continue his card game right after that, with Dent's body just laying there bleeding. A real super spy, a real calm, stoic, sophisticated, savvy spy. Not the crying baby we had in the last few Bond movies, especially No Time to Die. We ain't gonna talk about that right now. Now, Dr. No as a villain, I don't want to be too harsh, but out of all the Bond villains, I don't want to say he's low, but he's not my favorite. It's just not appealing to me. Maybe it was for 1962, but I do have to say he's probably the epitome of a Bond villain, with the metal fists and diabolical villainous plot, which is backed by the overarching enemy, Ernest Starvo Blofeld, and not James Bond's brother, if you catch my drift. But we don't get to see Blofeld until the next movie. But in that next movie, we're going to get to see his hands as cat. Can't wait till next year to actually review that. But anyways, going back to Julius Snow. He wasn't working for Spectre actually in the novel, but for the Soviet Union, for a little trivia. But Dr. No will be one of those character villains that will be parody for ages to come. And for some reason in the animated series, James Bond Jr., they made Dr. No look like Iron Man's arch enemy, the Mandarin. See the resemblance there? As far as Bond girls are concerned, Honey Rider, played by Ursula Andress, did not use her real voice. Her voice was dubbed by one Nikki, I don't know, freaking mess this name up. These foreign names, man. But I'm gonna try. Nikki Van der Zyl, I hope that's right. But Honey Rider will go down as the quoted, what people say, the quintessential Bond girl, setting the tone up for the other girls that will follow behind her. Honey Rider's white bikini was sold at an auction in 2001 for a lot of money.
Here we
Actually,
are.
Ursula owes that bikini to her stardom, and this movie made her a star. She is actually ranked #1 in the 100 greatest sexiest moments of all time in cinema history. I guess. Now, as the plot for the film, it's simple. Madman wants to show the world his power, as well as the secret evil organization wants to show their power too. He goes about showing that power by disrupting the Project Mercury space launch at Cape Canaveral, right? He does this by using a radio beam, but before MI6 owns station director Strangeways can figure out what's going on, he is murdered by Dr. No's henchmen, and it's up to Bond to stop the evil plan, which he does by overloading a nuclear pool reactor to destroy the radio beam and stopping that power from happening, killing Dr. No in the process. And of course, like every movie, with the exception of No Time to Die, Bond gets the girl. Is it the No Time to Die? I think it is No Time to Die is the other one. No Time to Die and probably Quantum of Solace. Now that I think about it. You know what? I think all the recent Bond movies, I don't think he really gets the girl. He don't get the girl in Casino Royale. She dies. Quantum of Solace, he walks out of her room into the cold night in Russia. Spectre, he don't get the girl. Now, no, Spectre, he does get the girl. I'm thinking of Skyfall, he doesn't. I think that's the only movie he does get the girl. Yeah. Modern Bond hasn't been really good when it comes to that. But anyways, not to get off too subject now. Yeah. Now that I think about it, it just gets depressing. Now, Dr. No is not my favorite Bond film. That goes to Goldfinger. But Connery is my favorite James Bond, as he is cool, cold, sophisticated, don't play games, and smooth, showing very limited signs of emotional weakness, like the way Ian Fleming wrote the Bond. Now, Connery will go on to star in From Russia with Love, Goldfinger, Thunderball, You Only Live Twice, which is thought to be his last Bond movie, well, he thought it was, but Return for Diamonds Are Forever, which he thought it was gonna be his last Bond movie again. No. That will go to the non-Eon production Never Say Never Again, basically a repeat of Thunderball. Dr. No will go down as a classic in the spy genre and cinema, as well as many other spy films that tried to parody parts of this film, as well as the other Bond films too. The spy film, it was already there in cinema since the 1920s with the likes of Bulldog Drummond, but this film gave rise and a boom to the genre. Now, how can I say this? There was a theme, but there was a theme. But there was no theme, but there was a theme. I think I said that right. I don't know. Stop playing around. This film didn't have the theme songs that we know, like Adele, Alicia Keys. I don't know why I'm naming the recent Bond films, but those just come to mind. They didn't have none of that productions, but we did get the Calypso Melody by Monty Norman with the title credits, with the visuals and all that stuff, and of course the gun barrel with Bond wearing a hat in this film. Future gun barrel openings, he didn't have one, but plus we get the classic James Bond theme. Now, there has been disputes on who originally wrote the James Bond theme. Composer John Barry claimed to write and arrange or rearrange the theme, but that's where Monty Norman had a problem, claiming he created and even had lawsuits that I think he won. Norman did collect his royalties for the use of the theme since the release of Dr. No. Otherwise, Dr. No is one of the better James Bond films to be released, but therefore, hey, wait. I can say this. Let me say this the perfect way. But before I leave, No Time to Die, which some people do not like, I understand. I do get the appeal to No Time to Die for some people who don't really know the crux of what James Bond is supposed to be. But anyways, that's a different topic for a different story, a different video. But there are some parts that do remind me of Dr. No. Like No Time to Die had the pool of acid with the underground base with the secret villain who, I don't want to sound racial, but looks kind of nah, I can't say he look Asian. Dr. No, and I don't even know what freaking the villain to No Time to Die. I don't even remember his name. That's how bad that I would. That's how you know what I'm trying to say. The movie wasn't great, but we get the whole pool of acid with the underground base and No Time to Die, where Dr. No had the underground base with a swimming pool reactor with poison stuff in it. I don't know. It's just an observation. Hey, make sure to hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button too. What are you waiting for? Just do it. It's free.